Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are doing episode 9 of season 15 of Masterchef Dynamic Duels.
Duels?
Duos, or Dynamic Duo, and I think it's Dynamic Duos. And this was a team challenge outside of the building, and it had to do with the train. And these people had paid a lot of money, the way the judges made it sound, to have an exclusive meal and a train trip. And so what they would do was they had these two teams. They have to make an hors d'oeuvre, and they would have to serve it on the train, but they wouldn't have it completely put together. They'd have to kind of keep it warm, put it together, and give it to the servers to be served to the people on the train. So what they did was the judges split the people into half. They just looked at the crowd and say, okay, you in between her and him or something, you go over to the left and be the blue team or whatever, and you on the right go be on the red team. And then they picked their team captains, and the blue team was Jess and Jessica, the ones from Boston, and the other team, the red team, had a married couple where I don't know their names, but she almost passed out last week because of lack of water. And instead of them picking out entrees and hors d'oeuvres or whatever, the judges had them all pre-picked out. All the food was there, so they just had to. What they did was, and they prepared the dishes for them too, so they could taste them and see what they would look like, and how they were put together, and what they tasted like, and what was in them. It's kind of like a double challenge in a way, because usually they'll do that, and you have to guess it right, and then see what comes up. But anyway, so another thing they did was they had to do the hors d'oeuvre on the train, which I said, so they picked two from each team to go on the train. They would get all the, let's say, I don't know how many they had to have, so many pieces of tuna and all the ingredients, and so many pieces of crab and all that. And then they would take them aboard the train, and they would have to be put together and kept warm, and serve it on the train. And it was kind of tricky because they had to be ready. They had to be cooked right, and they had to make sure they had all the ingredients. So it was very stressful. Just that. The rest of the team stayed back on the ground, and they were making the two entrees they had to cook. Each one had 2 entrees. So they had a lot to do. And it seemed like they were pretty good about picking out who would be cooking what. But right away, you hear all the complaining from certain people, which was irritating, I thought. And you had the blue team had to make a duck breast and a...
Are we skipping past the appetizer?
Oh, okay. So it seemed, I don't know, but it appeared to me that when they did the appetizers on the train, that the people on the train, at least the way what they showed, you never know, that they liked their tuna appetizer best. I don't know if that's true, but it seemed like they did, and which was interesting. And the crab thing, I don't know, it was doughy, and the doughy thing was like pretty big. It was tall. It was, I would say, about 4 or 5 inches tall, and maybe there was just too much dough. It seemed like, I don't know, I think some people complained that it didn't have any flavor, or didn't have enough flavor. So
I thought that the whole thing that Safi's done with her monologue, I thought that the whole thing that they did about cooking appetizers on the train was queer.
I didn't like
I just thought that the whole episode was stupid. The whole episode was queer. Everything about it was queer. It was just like a giant They basically just tried to make a team challenge harder and
Really
worse and worse. Oh, do I get to talk now? And worse than it usually is. You know, they tried to make it so hard that it's like, you know, like team challenge episodes are already hard. And so why do you have to make it like extra hard by adding this different element of like, oh, you have to go on, two have to go on the train. And there was even this part where Joe, he saw 3 people going on the train from one team, and he's like, why are there 3? And it was the one guy was just going on there to help carry stuff in there, and it was like that was basically like a representation of this whole episode. And there was also a part, and then I'll let Safi speak. There was also a part where Tiffany, and we're going to start calling her Tiffany from now on all the time because, you know, she did something this episode that I thought was very entitled, and I thought that it seemed like she was very full of herself and very snooty, and I guess you would say. And this one woman, Tiffany talked to her about something, and she said something like, thank you, Tiffany. And Tiffany said, usually it's I'm called Chef.
Oh, yeah.
And then she said, oh, yeah, Chef, I'm so sorry. It'll never happen again. And she's like, you bet it won't happen again. And it's like, I'm sorry, but, like, fuck you. Like, fuck you. You're Tiffany, fuck you. Like, what a bitch. Safi?
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was very, and
pretentious.
That girl didn't mean anything by it. It was the South Dakota young part of the team. Remember, it's a stepmother and stepdaughter, and she didn't mean anything by it. She, you know, to me, it was like she liked her and she felt comfortable with her.
They call Gordon.
Yeah.
They don't call him Chef. They call Joe.
Right.
So why the fuck can't they call that bitch Tiffany?
Yeah.
I think that's fucking retarded.
Well, just there were some complaints. I just thought they were stupid. The Brazilian couple, they've been doing really well, and they're the ones that cooked the crab on the train. Well, it was already cooked. I mean, putting it together, and she complained that, well, we have never cooked on a moving train before. Probably nobody in the group has ever cooked on a moving train before. So I thought that was a stupid comment to make. It wasn't even, I don't know, it was just stupid. There was a couple things that just irritated me.
Well, they're saying something about, like, we're trying to do delicate work here. Which means, like, putting little, you know, like, little tiny things on top of the plate, like, decorating. Like, we're trying to do really delicate work here. Like, yeah, that's why it's called a challenge.
All right.
But still, as I said before, this challenge was needlessly complicated. It was it should not have been how it was. I think that the whole episode, you know, I wasn't looking forward to it. Like, it seems like they should have spaced this out better because I wasn't really interested in another team challenge, and then they added on, oh, well, after this episode, there'll be another pressure chest, as Safi likes to call them. Well, now that Ryan Kate's gone, she'll say test. But the former pressure chest. Safi?
Well, okay, so the blue team had to make a duck breast, which, you know, duck is one of the hardest things to cook, or the hardest thing to cook, I don't know, of the meats. And the red team had to do filet mignon. And so I think it's Tina, the Asian woman and her niece. They were working on this stuff, and they just kept nagging at them and going after them, saying they can't do. Oh, and I know, it was the tuna. They would just bitch and complain. You can't, you know, she's done several, maybe on all of them. Every time she's cooked, she's had kind of an unorthodox way of preparing something. And they've all had a fit and bitched and complained. So it's never going to work. You know, she didn't want to use the pressure cooker and all this stuff. And they would just bitch and complain. Said, that's never going to turn out. It always did. It was perfect. And they loved it. And so they were going on and on. There's a big debate about the oil. Not enough oil, too much oil. Too much salt, not enough salt. And I just was about ready to put my fist through the screen. And it wasn't her, it was the judges. And it got to the point where Gordon says, I just don't think that they can handle it, that they're going to be good with it. You've got to replace them. And I don't know, that really irritated me. That's what
I don't like that.
It was just like pressure, talking about pressure to test. That's not going to be anything compared to this. This was the most stressful episode I have ever seen of any Masterchef. You could feel it coming through the screen.
It's probably even worse than a Hell's Kitchen, even though Hell's Kitchen is typically like this level. But they kind of tone it down with having comedy in there, having little jokes.
They have this train thing. You have all these people that paid a fortune. They made they said that in a certain way, that they paid for this high class meal, and that was pressure in and of itself. And they just kept laying on the pressure and laying on the pressure. Well, anyway, the other team, the South Dakota ladies, were doing the filet mignon, and I don't know what the problem was. I didn't get it, but
this was the red team, and what happened was the entire episode, and this just shows, like, this is what happens when you have a bad leader. The leaders, the entire episode, they just kept babysitting these two girls as they cooked the steak, and then other people had to go over and help them too. And it was like everyone was focused on cooking the steak and nobody was focused on anything else.
And they realized that too late.
But the leaders, like, they never tried to, like, fix that in any way, shape, or form. They just kept on going with the flow in a bad way. And that left the black couple, they had to do everything else basically by themselves.
Well, they were doing potatoes.
But this is what was really hilarious, was they complained. They're like, we need help. Nobody's helping us. We need help. And it's just so ironic after the other team challenge episode where, the husband, he was saying like, oh, well, Ryan Kate doesn't need help. This isn't MasterChef Junior anymore. And so, I guess, but now that they need help, it's okay.
Yeah, that was one of the quotes I was like, really irritated me.
Yeah.
This thing with the back and forth about the stupid tuna and the duck breast. And then what happened was, I forgot to tell you, the other team had picked the brothers to do the... they're the ones that did the tuna on the train. And they did a really good job. Like I said, it seemed like the people on the train liked their food better. But when they got off, they put them on the duck breast, and that guy, one of them, I don't know their names, he said, I've never cooked duck in my life. I know the skin has to be up and has to be cooked, and and they were starting to get mad at him, and like they said, we've never cooked. Why are we being put on the duck? We've never cooked duck in our lives. And if you watched any cooking show and any of MasterChef, duck is the hardest thing to cook. And so they were having trouble with it.
That was kind of a red herring, though, because, they were very competent chefs, and so they ended up magically pulling it off. And I thought, and I don't know about Safi, because Safi has some strange thoughts, but I thought for about 55% of the episode, the red team's going to lose and the blue team's going to win. Because
I kind of thought that too.
The red team, they just, even though the blue team was terrible too, the red team was worse. And so I predicted that they would lose. So.
Yeah, but this thing, I don't know if they were intentionally trying to make it harder than it had to be. But it was very annoying. And I just think and it was stressful. I actually started getting sick. It was giving me a nervous stomach ache from watching how much stress that they were going through. Because I don't know if the people who were on the train and then got off to have this meal, I don't know if they could tell how much stress they were under or not, if they were so separated from him. And Gordon did get mad once. He always has this thing where he has to throw the food against the train.
So he did that this episode, and it was queer.
It was almost like he felt like he had to do it because he always does.
Another thing I didn't like was at the end of the episode, they really regressed back from the other team challenge episode, because remember in that one, they gave the losing team feedback why they lost.
Oh, yeah.
And in this episode, they didn't do that this time. And I was like, why didn't they do that? Like, is feedback not important anymore? Like, now that they're higher in the competition, like, are you not supposed to want feedback as a chef? Or, because, that was pretty weird, because it's like, why did they choose to do that in the other episode, but now this is another team challenge episode and they don't do it anymore?
And now they've got a pressure test. Maybe we'll have to see next week if they say something before they start cooking in the pressure test. See if they say something about give them some feedback. It'll be interesting.
I don't even know who will be in the top 2 of the whole show.
I know who's not going to be in the top 2.
The divorced couple,
no.
The black couple, the 2 girls, they're all going home. I would say probably the 2 brothers and then the Boston couple, maybe. Like, that's probably the safest choice that I would pick, because right now it's kind of just, I don't know, like this doesn't really feel like a very like cohesive season, in the sense that like it's just really strange. Like, they have all these team challenge episodes, but every episode is a team challenge because they're duos. So that's what's so weird. It's like it just, something about it is just really off, and compared to other seasons. Like, I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't either. I don't like. And to me, this thing about having one couple go on board the train and serve up the hors d'oeuvre, and then get off of the train and then resume with the rest of the team. I just thought that was, my God, you're putting stress on both people, both groups of people. And I was just trying to see if there was, and the one where they were babysitting the filet mignons, and then the newlywed couple complaining about their potatoes, cooking the potatoes by themselves, and I guess the greens, they had greens, and they were cold, and Gordon had a fit, and they said, well, we can't, they're paying all attention to cooking the filet mignons, we don't get any help with the potatoes, and nobody's doing anything about the greens. And then on the other team, Marco was talking about that both teams did not good, but then, the other team, Jess and Jessica's team, managed to pull away. The Javier, this is the divorced couple, they had carrots, cooked carrots, where they had them like in a frying pan. I guess there was a little water in there, maybe, and oil. I'm not sure how they were cooking them. He kept burning them. And Gordon says, who burns carrots anyway? And it was really strange because, he had multiple pans on the burners, and they were all full of carrots. And the Jessica was her husband was trying to be funny. He said when she starts getting mad, her Boston accent comes out. She was saying, I can't imitate a Boston accent, but she was saying, turn all those burners down, they're way too high, and she's getting mad, and it was pretty ridiculous. There were different carrots. They were very skinny and long, because that would be something that they could cook quickly and serve. But, he had the burners way too hot. That's a given. That really... So Gordon was having a fit about that.
What would be the worst leader? Because, I don't know, I don't think that leaders or captains are supposed to necessarily be unpleasant, but both leaders were kind of unpleasant.
Yeah.
Because they were stressed,
Yeah, they were all, that's what I say, they were all in that thing where that Judge Tiffany said that shitty thing to that girl, and I forgot about that. And
yeah, Safi forgot. It's good that I
really
remember
terrible.
Because honestly, that is probably one of the worst moments that a judge has had on the history of MasterChef. Because again, it's like that bitch is very entitled. She probably thinks she's some kind of celebrity. And I know that in regular kitchens, you would call your boss chef and say, yes, chef. And, they do that on Hell's Kitchen to Gordon. But this is MasterChef. They call JoJo. They call Gordon. They called Aaron. They didn't call him chef. And so
I
why...
don't think anybody ever called him chef.
Yeah, and so why can't they call Tiffany? It's stupid. It's terrible.
I really don't like that.
Very elitist.
She was not doing anything disrespectful. She didn't mean anything by that. It's like, I don't know if anybody's had this experience. I'm sure they have, but when I went to college, one thing we did that we weren't used to doing.
You went to college?
In high school, you call your teacher Mrs. or Mr. or whatever. But in college, you call your teacher by their first name. And that was weird, but that's just something you could do. And but it wasn't being disrespectful. It was just the relationships. I don't know. It was just that this is a game show, and it's the cooking. In fact, she said this last week. Tiffany did. It's not about it being vegan or meat or whatever. It's about the food. It has to be good food. So what the hell does calling somebody a chef versus their first name have to do with the food?
I don't know.
And so she kind of really contradicted herself, I think. With that, I forgot about that. I think that's horrible. Well, that girl is a very nice person, and she was trying to do her best. They weren't doing their best. They're not. This is like I said. They were all. I don't care which.
I thought maybe it was going to be a joke at first. She's like, well, usually people call me chef, but in this case, I'll make an exception or something like that. But no, she firmly stuck to it, and then after that, she just sounded very entitled and elitist, and so it was like, ooh, God, that was like a Freudian slip kind of moment, because, it shows that her facade of being a nice judge, it's completely BS. She's like she's very full of herself, apparently, and that really came out in that one instance.
They've had, in past seasons, they've had some contestant being a jackass. And they've said stupid stuff. And yes, Gordon or Joe, I don't remember any other judge doing this. I don't think of Rome or the other guy with the glasses. But they would get snide with them and snippy. Because they wouldn't put up with behavior, because they were being creepy and stupid.
Yeah, I think that probably a big element that's missing about MasterChef is that they used to have a lot of problematic contestants that the judges hated, and they were basically only there for ratings, and the judges would get to like tear them apart. Like there was one guy, and you know they have like compilation videos. Safi probably knows him, but he made soup and he put like the Masterchef logo in the soup. and you had contestants who did stuff like that, and they don't have that anymore. And you know, we used to probably have the opinion of like, oh, those contestants, we don't like them, but honestly, they're kind of missed because it's a lot more fun and funny to watch the judges tear apart those people than tear apart these like normal,
nice people, just
nice people,
good people.
You know, not very bad. I mean, the divorced couple is weird, but they're not bad. The black couple's terrible, but you know, they're not horrible people, but they're just terrible in the show, terrible at cooking. But yeah, I think that that's actually a big element that's missing from the show. And if you look back at the most recent seasons, they have not really had any problematic chef contestants, and I think that's a big reason why the show is not as good as it was.
Yeah, maybe.
I
never thought about that, but
yeah.
For her to be like she was being disrespectful and rude, she was not. That was not her intent at all. In fact, she was being respectful because she thought of her as more like a mentor, a friend, you know, where...
A women tour.
Well, whatever. I mean, she was not being disrespectful. And she should apologize to her. I hope she did, but I bet she didn't.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I didn't like it. And I'm just trying to think. I mean, I would feel, after that, if it were me, I would not feel comfortable talking to her at all. I would just talk to her only if I had to. Yeah. Because that was bitchy. Really bitchy. So anyway...
It's funny, Safi didn't even mention that this morning either, like when she watched it. She just said, this episode's really stressful, Marco. You can
it made me sick.
You can feel the stress. It made me feel sick. And I was like, what about that one moment with Tiffany saying, you have to call me chef, bitch. So anyways...
I didn't even write it down either.
Oh! So anyways, the blue team won easily. There were people that liked the red team, but honestly, it seemed like they were a little bit more biased because they liked steak. You know, because I admit, out of all the proteins, crab is probably my second favorite. And I think that duck is really underrated. You know, I used to have duck at a place called Wellington Grill, and they're not around anymore, Safi.
I know.
And so I it would be nice to have duck again pretty soon because duck is actually, I think it's really underrated. It's really good. But it's not as good as, I think steak is better, crab is better, so...
And these were filet mignon, so...
Yeah, so I think that there were people voting for red because they were biased towards those meats, those proteins.
Could be.
You know.
And I think we've had this before, too, where they've had a team challenge and they had steak versus something else, and people liked the steak.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's the fact that when people are home, they don't buy steak very often. So if they get to have it, like on the show or something.
Well, they paid for it. They paid to have it.
Do they always pay? I mean, I for some reason I thought that the show would pay for it.
I don't know. I kind of had the assumption that people would get invited there for free, and that it would be just for them to help the show, help the contestants. I didn't think that you'd have to pay to have a Masterchef dinner. Because, what if, you got something that was raw? Which there was one woman who voted for blue, even though she sent her meat back, and she said they redeemed themselves by redoing it, and I thought
I've never seen that before.
We've never seen that before, so that was really interesting.
And they say Joe is the one who asked everybody. He was the only one to do this. asked people what they thought of their food, and he was surprised by that as well.
I think it's hilarious watching Joe walking around punching tickets like a ticket taker in a train.
Yeah, that's what they had to do to.
That was really
they
funny.
have to vote. So they had a ticket with a red side and a blue side, and then they would say, he would ask them publicly which team's food they preferred, and he punched it, whether it was blue or red. And at the end, when they found out who won, the train was a steam engine, so they put up blue steam. The train did. So
I give this episode an F. I didn't like it at all.
I gave it a D, and that was being generous because it made me ill to watch it. And then I think about that Tiffany thing, and I really pisses me off. Because that girl is not, and she's a very nice person, she and her mother, and they're not, they don't make fun of people, they're not rude, they're
but
not.
I make fun of people. I especially make fun of Chef Gordon and his frozen meals. His bad Walmart meals.
Well, except for that one that we just ate, I really like that, except there's just not enough. So, anyway, that's it. And so next week will be the pressure test to see who's going to lose. Because remember, in the pressure test, there are no winners.
To see who's going to lose.
It's a survival, a test of survival. That's what Ryan Kate said, and it's true.
Ryan Kate.
Yep.
You're still fixated on?
Well, she's the one who said that, and it's a really good point.
Why don't you have her on and have her say some other things?
I'm going to be quiet.
What do you think she would say about these people? She'd probably say...
I don't think they would say anything bad about
She
them.
would say, wow, I would have passed out if I was in the episode. Because she got really stressed out that other team challenge.
And this is worse.
She wouldn't have survived this one. She would have been like, oh no! I gotta help with the duck.
I think maybe the payment thing is because this train was involved, and then there was cooking, kind of, on the train, and so maybe that had to do with it. And it was a steam engine. This wasn't any modern thing. This was an old-fashioned steam engine.
I think what's interesting there's not really as much of a focus on feeding people in need. And I think that one thing that Masterchef could do that would be good is instead of having, retarded influencers, come and pay money, or influencers come to get to eat for free even though influencers suck. I think maybe they could go to an orphanage or something like that and feed a bunch of miserable children or something, or a bunch of children with AIDS, or something like that. Because it's you think about why doesn't MasterChef take the opportunity to feed some people who actually deserve to be fed some MasterChef food, instead of all these rich people who just all they do is eat MasterChef quality food all the time. I do they'll feed firefighters, and I guess they did the Fishers earlier in the season, but why don't they ever feed starving children? It just seems kind of elitist.
I'm trying to think. It seems like they did something kind of like that a long time. It was for adults, though.
I do remember MasterChef Junior. They did some kind of a Boy Scouts thing. They fed the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts in season 5. I remember that. But other than that, I can't really think of a time where they fed hungry children. And it's wow. What, do you just want to feed rich people?
Yeah, really. And the way they sounded, too, for this, it was an exclusive train trip with a really good food. I mean, really chef, Michelin star quality food or something. So, and duck, and filet mignon and all, all this stuff. Although there was no dessert.
The blue team was at a huge disadvantage, though, because they had tuna. Nobody likes tuna, even though tuna's very good. And then nobody likes duck compared to steak and crab. I mean, they clearly had the lesser options overall over the general public's consensus. But they still won, and so that just shows...
Did they get to pick? I don't remember this. Did they get to pick?
No.
What they? I know that the judges.
They didn't get to pick anything.
So they just said, "You, this team's going to cook this."
Yeah.
And this team's going to cook that. Okay. Yeah. So they really didn't have a choice. They had to do what they got.
Which one would you prefer, Safi? Would you like the crab, the crab au fond, the au fond?
I don't think I'd like that. I don't think I'd want to eat it.
What's
either.
an au fond or
It's probably
whatever?
the pastry. It's probably that pastry that has a ton of butter.
I call it the bullshit cake. Gordon's bullshit cake.
That flaky pastry. What did they usually make it? You have to fold it 10 million times and pound it, and I think croissants are made out of it. It's very light and flaky, but this time somehow, in fact, did they show them making it? I didn't. It was already made, and then they had to everybody had to sample it to see what was in it and how it was made, and so they could work on it. And so I don't know how they do it, because the other thing is something. It's a flaky pastry that you fold that 10 million times, and you flatten it, and fold it and flatten it and fold it and flatten to get these layers. And I've seen that, but that's a dessert. This was, and it's also not shaped like this. This was kind of like a bumblebee hive or something. That's what it looked like a 4 or 5 inch tall hive made out of this pastry. And then it had the crab meat in it, and I think there was like a ricotta cheese or some kind of cheese with it too. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. It didn't look good to me. But the other one was weird too. Even the tuna thing, they said it was a thin piece of tuna on a potato chip. That's what somebody described it as. I don't know.
Here's the thing. They had... So, I don't know, how fast they replaced Tina and the other woman, but that's like an Asian specialty, like seared tuna.
Oh, I know.
And so, if I knew that, then I would definitely want the tuna, just because of that, because it'll be tastier and more authentic, and then, as I said, duck is really underrated. You know what we haven't seen them cook most recently, that we used to see them cook sometimes, that orange fish? Remember the one in the spiky shell? The spiky thing, and that you have to break it apart, and there's the orange fish, or the yellowy orange fish or whatever? We haven't seen them cook that in forever.
Well, also there's the meat in the dough. The doughy container. What's that thing called? He loves it. Chef Ramsay loves it.
Beef Wellington?
Yes. That's his thing. Beef Wellington. Now this season, it's duck.
No, it's not.
Duck.
They just did that this one episode.
Well, I thought they did it before, too.
Well, duck is a very delicious protein, and you would know if you tasted it.
I thought somebody cooked duck earlier in the season.
Duck is really good. Veal's really good. Safi won't eat veal.
No, I'm not going to eat veal. No. Anyway.
I'll eat veal every day.
Yeah, people like it, but I'm
Veal,
not eating that.
veal, and venison.
Venison I've eaten. I've had a venison sausage and a venison steak.
And squirrel, and
Ew,
raccoon.
I wouldn't eat any of that. Oh,
cat.
Oh,
dog,
cut it out. He's teasing.
Possum.
Ew,
possum.
God, they eat garbage. Gross.
Ferret.
Marco's teasing now, okay?
Camel. Human.
Marco! Okay, that's it. So I think we didn't like the episode, and you watch it and you make your own judgment. Comment on our site to tell us what you thought about it. And if you liked it, if you like this, that's fine. But I didn't care for it. I didn't care for this at all.
It's such a.
And I try.
If you like this, that's fine.
Everybody has the right to their own opinion, but I just felt the stress, and I felt like Marco said, just to do these challenges where they go out and they have to cook for some people, that is hard enough. But to layer it with layers and layers of stress, this thing where they pick a duo, they have to go on the train, they have to have all their stuff, and Joe has a fit about a person helping them.
Yeah, he was like, why are there?
The train?
He was like, why are there 3 people going on the train? And it's just because one person was helping carry stuff, and it's like, again, like, fuck you.
Well, what's wrong with that? Does he want them to spill, be at the risk of spilling stuff? I mean, because they had to carry all their stuff, anything that they needed to cook it, and the ingredients. They had to take it all on the train with them. And then when they stop, they didn't have to bring anything off, did they? No, probably not. And then they have to go and join the group and jump right into the entree, which they haven't had any part in cooking. And it's just like those brothers who are used to cooking lots of different stuff on the spur of a moment. That's what they said, that they're really good because they'll come in there, they don't know what to eat, and they open the refrigerator and go, okay, we'll cook this. And so they were lucky that it worked out. So anyway, that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. We now have, Marco?
718.
718. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye!